Hello everyone, Francis Walshe here again with thedigitalmerchant.com, and today we're going to be looking at the best AI video documentation tools. So these are a range of tools that essentially will let you enter prompts into the tool and will generate internal documentation videos in response. So we're going to look in particular at tools that are geared towards internal videos rather than, we'll say, content marketing. A couple of these can be used comfortably for both purposes, but we're going to be making the judgments here on the basis of internal videos. And so this, I suppose, is quite an emerging area. As we all know, generative AI is relatively new, and what began with generating blog posts and things like that from scratch, we've now graduated towards actually making full videos from scratch. So you can enter, words, prompts in the forms of words, and then you get your video on the other side. So no longer do you actually even need a camera to make videos from scratch. So it is a crazy time we live in, but anyway, let's have a look at what's on offer. So the first video documentation tool I looked at for this video is called Guidde, and essentially this is the one I'm going to be recommending, I think, to the majority of businesses. It is the best one that I looked at for a number of reasons. I think chief among them, it's best for internal documentation. As I said, right, this video is geared towards internal documentation specifically, and Guidde was developed with internal documentation in mind. So if you look at the website, you'll see that the whole system is geared towards internal processes and disseminating information from within your own company. It doesn't cater to, we'll say, the content marketing demand quite as much. On that note, it makes it very, very easy for teams to collaborate on videos. So there's track changes and there's collaboration functions that make it easy for people to jump in and out, which I think is really effective. Because look, documentation is most often a collaborative process. It involves more than one party. It involves several stakeholders. And, so this is, I think, a really intelligent functionality. Then if we kind of look at the production side of things, the AI voiceovers, and this is something that I'll cover as the video goes on, we all know that AI voiceovers can be a little bit hit and miss. AI voices don't always sound as human as they should, and I know they're getting better, but right now they can sound a little robotic, and that can kind of take you out of the experience a little bit. Guidde, in my view, it does the best job of this. I think their voices are fairly accurate. I mean, look, if you're listening out for it, you'll probably spot that they're not human, but they do quite a good job of producing realistic AI voiceovers. The Chrome extension then is another handy feature. Essentially, it just lets you, start the video production process straight from your desktop. You don't have to go into the app or anything like that. And then the free plan, and now this is something I'm a really big fan of, and it's something that I kind of realized was quite important when I was doing the research for this video. These things, it's not always easy to know up front how much you'll need them, whether you'll get the value from them, whether they represent ROI. And therefore, a robust free tier, I think, is a big advantage with one of these tools. And that's what you get with Guidde. You're getting your 25 free videos per month on the free plan. To be honest, it's quite possible you might not even need to graduate to a paid subscription with that. 25 videos a month is quite a lot. But even if you do decide to make the move, that free tier is a great jumping off point. In terms of drawbacks, there are fewer third-party integrations here than you might see with other apps, and kind of more limited advanced editing functions as well. So I suppose maybe that is kind of maybe limiting what you can do in terms of really advanced, really intricate videos. And then there's also no mobile screen capture just yet. I would say, though, that in the time that they've been around, they've been quite on the ball, I suppose, when it comes to upgrading their tech. So it's not, these are things obviously that have been raised. I would imagine they're probably working on them in the background. And to be honest, they are relatively minor issues. Anyway, I'm a huge fan of this tool. I think it does a great job, and I could really highly recommend it. The next tool we're going to look at is Pictory. So Pictory is what I would kind of regard as the most basic of the tools we're looking at here. It's really, really easy to use, and I think that's probably its chief selling point. There's not a huge learning curve here at all. As you can see here, this is from its website. It's trusted by quite a lot of well-known names. It has really good reviews, and it's been used to create over 10 million videos across industries. So there's obviously that level of social proof there as well. So I suppose, yeah, as I was saying, best for beginners. It's really easy to use, which is great. You paste your script, you get your video. It'll create a storyboard that's very intuitive, that makes sense when you're looking at it, and then it will generate the voiceover from scratch. Now, it doesn't generate footage from scratch. I'll cover that a little bit more in a minute. It's great for repurposing your kind of blogs or your documents, which is, in my experience, probably the biggest use case of this. You'll have maybe an internal document that you use for disseminating information. You want to turn it into a video. Pictory is great for that. And then it has massive stock media access, I think primarily through Getty images, so it has a lot of stock footage for you to look at. However, as I was saying, it doesn't generate AI visuals from scratch, right? And this, I think, is the biggest drawback here, particularly when you're comparing it to something like Guidde. It uses stock images, stock footage, and these visuals do sometimes miss the mark. You're not getting the level of customization, obviously, that you can get with something you're generating from scratch. And so if you're looking at something or trying to do something specific, it can be a little bit limiting in that regard, particularly if it's something that kind of relies on a visual explanation. You might find it a little bit more difficult to get your point across. There's not any voice intonation control. So, particularly, and, I was saying this in relation to Guidde as well, there can be a little bit of friction when it comes to the realism of the AI voices. They can kind of take you out of the experience a little bit. Editing can help with that in some of these tools, and the editing functionality for this in Pictory obviously is not there. And then there's also no proper free tier. You can only have a free trial. I believe that lasts for 14 days. This is a particularly big drawback, I think, with Pictory specifically, just because I do view it as kind of a beginner tool. It's something you might dabble with if you decide to maybe move on to something else. If you're only getting it for free for 14 days, that's not giving you a lot of runway to test it out and to kind of see whether you like the concept of AI video documentation in general. So, for that reason, it might not even be worth your time trying it out. Look, 14 days is still 14 days. You can have a look and see how you feel about it. But yeah, you won't find that 2 weeks going. It'll pass by pretty quickly. As we all know, everyone is busy. So the next tool I'm going to look at here is Synthesia. And this is, I suppose, the most kind of future is now vibes of all the tools I'm looking at here. Essentially what this does is, more than even generating visuals from scratch, this will actually generate an AI avatar. So like an AI generated human who comes on screen and presents your video for you. So very, very futuristic. And yeah, like really kind of cutting edge stuff here. It supports 140 languages, and they're adding those all the time. So, if you have global teams, that's obviously a huge plus. And you can put in your branding templates, and it's global ready. It's accessible across the world. So yeah, there's a lot to like about it from that point of view. However, I suppose its main selling point is kind of its main drawback as well. Its avatars, while they are obviously very cool, very cutting edge, they don't pass for real people, as you might imagine. And so, it's a little bit, you're wondering then at what point, you're wondering kind of why are we doing it? If it's going to be obviously kind of artificial, then, you might not view this really as the selling point that Synthesia presents it as. On this point then, the emotion and the nuance can feel flat. So yeah, I suppose this really just depends on the kind of style of internal video you like to create. If you want to generate that kind of real human feel and that real kind of authentic connection with your team, you might feel this isn't the best way to go about it. So I suppose that's something for you maybe to try out, see how the videos work for you and see how you feel at that point. Then there's a 3-minute cap on the free plan. So obviously for more detailed internal videos, that's not really going to cut it. And you're going to have to make the jump to a paid plan to get more than that. And then editing, and I suppose this kind of ties in with the whole avatar thing as well, but it makes it very difficult to make minor edits. You'll find it's probably easier to nearly start from scratch and make a whole new video if you do need to adjust something minor. This obviously isn't ideal. Look, the whole point of these video tools is that they make things easier, that they streamline processes, make everything quicker. If you're having to do a single video from scratch several times because of minor quibbles, it's not really ideal. So the last video the last video tool we're going to look at is Lumen5. Now, Lumen5 is actually, I think, it is geared mainly towards content marketing, content creation. So I think particularly social media videos. So for that reason, I suppose it's not really ideal compared to some of the others on this list, but it is a really cool tool. I did enjoy using it. I found it quite intuitive, easy to use, does deliver a return on investment, and it is flexible, I suppose, as I note here. It's not that you can't use it for internal documentation. It's just that's not the primary use case they had in mind. Really like the interface. Thought it was really simple. The drag and drop function makes everything very straightforward. Like Synthesia, it has a lot of languages that you can generate content in, which is handy as well, particularly for international teams. And then the free plan will give you 5 videos per month. This obviously isn't near as extensive as Guidde, but it is better than, say, the other tools we've looked at. So the free plan will give you enough to definitely enough for a jumping off point to see whether you like the tool or not. And then also it might even be enough for you if you don't have a huge amount of demand for the service, that you might even get away with just using the free plan. In terms of its drawbacks then, as I was saying, it's mainly geared towards social media video content creation. So therefore it caps its videos at 2 minutes in length. This is probably the biggest issue I would see with the kind of the specificity of it in terms of the content marketing versus internal documentation. Like 2 minutes is obviously fine for a social media video. That's what we've come to expect from our TikToks and our Reels and that kind of thing. For a more detailed internal video, oftentimes they will go longer than 2 minutes. So this is a big drawback. Then, like some of the others, there's no AI visuals. It's just stock media. So again, there's the same drawbacks there that I kind of mentioned previously. You're not getting that really high level of customization. And then for more kind of specific things, it's going to be a little bit limiting. Then there's a kind of a performance issue on kind of more data heavy videos. They can lag, and this kind of just generally slows down the process, adds that bit of friction, makes it just a little bit less user friendly. And then the more advanced features, they cost quite a bit of money. So as you'll see on the website, there is a tiered pricing system. It is quite accessible at the lower end, and as I said, the free version is it's enough probably for less demanding schedules. But if you want the really high end stuff, the likes of custom branded fonts and advanced voice options, they're only available on the enterprise pricing level. So that is obviously a significant investment. So yeah, overall, as I think I probably made clear at the beginning of the video, Guidde is the tool I absolutely recommend here. I think it's geared towards documentation specifically. Its free tier is quite extensive. 25 videos a month gives you plenty of room to play around and see whether it's for you and whether it's worth making the jump. The collaboration functions are excellent. They make it really easy to work as a team. And then, yeah, it will scale with you as you grow. It'll work from kind of the solopreneur level right up into the kind of the big company stage. So yeah, that's all for me on this video, and I'll see you in the next one.